After his father allegedly held him captive in his own home, he took revenge and went to live with his mother. But new cars and cruises weren't enough to fix the psychopathic behavior. This is the story of Collin Griffith, the 17-year-old who got away with killing his dad and went on to kill his mom. Hi friends, I'm Katie, and this is Katie Does Crime. Thank you for joining me for the first time if you're new here. I'm a Midwesterner who now lives in New York City, putting my writing degree to use by researching true crime cases that interest me, and hopefully you. And hello to the usual rapscallions and reprobates. Please consider subscribing or joining me on Patreon if you'd like to hear more true crime stories. Recent high school graduate Collin Riley Griffith called 911 on September 8th, 2024, from his grandmother's house in the Hamptons. Not the, swanky beach community in New York, but the retirement community near Tampa, Florida. He said he and his mom had a very long fight and that she fell on a knife and was bleeding from the neck. When authorities arrived, they found blood on 17-year-old Collin, but the boy seemed calm, cool, and collected. And the house looked perfectly neat and clean, not like somewhere a long fight had taken place. Collin also didn't seem to show any grief. His mom was dead inside, and he was outside telling a sheriff's deputy, "I know my rights, I want an attorney." So that pretty much tipped off investigators to give this crime scene a nice, thorough going through. And the next day at the autopsy, the medical examiner said there was no reasonable way that 39-year-old Catherine Griffith fell on a knife. Collin had to have killed her. It wasn't so surprising because the mother and son certainly had a troubled past. Collin had been living with his dad since his parents separated in 2019, but in early 2023, he came to be with Catherine in Port Charlotte, Florida. That fall, he told an officer at his school that his mom had threatened him with a gun, saying she would kill him and herself. When the officer came to their home for a mental health check, Catherine said Collin had clearly made up the story because she'd taken away his devices for failing his classes. Collin was put into protective custody under the Baker Act, which allows people with mental illness to be committed to a mental institution against their will if they might cause harm to themselves or others. At that facility, he allegedly said he would either kill his mother or himself if he had to go home. One of the ways he said he would kill his mom was actually by stabbing her. So he was put into long-term care for a while and was then released back to his mom. Maybe unsurprisingly, later that year, Collin was arrested for pushing Catherine to the ground and then stomping on her because she had told him he couldn't play video games until he did his chores. He said he was just acting in self-defense, but no one was buying that, especially because his grandmother had witnessed what really happened. She said they had been eating when Collin attacked his mom, pulling her hair and kneeing her in the stomach. He went to jail and was then released on probation. Collin and his mom fought again in February 2024, and he took off for his grandma's house in Auburndale at the Hamptons. She wasn't there, she was at her other home in the Florida Keys, but it was too much for her that he even came to her house at all. She and Collin's mom both said they didn't feel safe around him. So he went to the custody of the Department of Children and Families for a couple of days, and then he was supposed to go home to his mom, but he said he didn't want to go with her. So he threatened to kill her and he was kept in custody. Well, at least for a little while. 2 weeks later, he did go home. And things were okay for a little while. For a few months, there was peace, or, relatively, for them. But then Collin and his mom had a fight again over chores at the house again, and he went to his grandmother's, and again, she wasn't home. Collin's mom told him to come back, but he said no, so she drove to meet him the next day. She got to the house at 4 p.m., and soon enough, neighbors saw Collin and his mom outside arguing. He was seen dragging her into the house by her hair.
They were yelling at one another, and he grabbed her and drug her in the house. And like I said, I don't know what happened on the inside. I really don't. I feel so sad for the mother. The grandmother. She's a friend of mine, and I feel really, really bad for the whole family. She just lost her daughter and undoubtedly her grandson, so it's a sad day for all.
That was the same day Collin called 911 and said Catherine fell on a knife while lunging at him with it. But investigators believe he actually stabbed her, and with such force that the knife went all the way through her neck. It took 2 hours for him to call 911 once the neighbor saw him drag his mom inside. He would say it's because they had a long fight, but as I mentioned, the house showed no sign of that. He's been charged with first-degree murder and will be tried as an adult. Because here's the thing, this isn't Collin's first brush with the law. On February 13th, 2023, Collin was living with his dad near Stroud, Oklahoma, and he said that during an argument, 41-year-old Charles Griffith pulled a knife on him and chased him through the house to the bedroom. He said he was cornered. So out of self-defense, he picked up a gun and shot his dad in the chest and head, because he had to.
19 months ago, he killed his father in Oklahoma. News Channel 8's Polk County Bureau reporter Stacey DeSilva joins us live from the sheriff's office in Winter Haven. Stacey, a teenager killing both of his parents. This story is pretty stunning.
It is stunning. Jen and Keith, as the sheriff put it today, his deputies really pulled back the layers of the onion on this case to reveal that a tragedy this weekend was not a singular event. In fact, 2 cases in different time zones had the same result, the deaths of Collin Griffith's parents.
A cold-blooded murder. Our investigation clearly and unequivocally shows that that circumstance did not occur like that.
I knew he was a troubled kid. That's all I know, because Susan said that the kid had problems.
This was the scene in Lincoln County, Oklahoma on Valentine's Day 2023, when officials say Griffith shot his father twice, killing him. An assistant district attorney from Oklahoma tells News Channel 8 self-defense could not be ruled out, so no charges were filed. Soon after, Griffith came to Florida to live with his mother.
Authorities didn't exactly believe Collin's self-defense story 100%, but they honestly couldn't piece together an alternative version of the events that made better sense. There just wasn't enough evidence, and Collin wouldn't talk without his lawyer. So they took Collin's word for it, and the idea of charging him with first-degree murder was dropped less than a month later.
We can only make a decision based on the evidence we have at the time. It's impossible to sit back and predict somebody's future behaviors.
But now the Polk County Sheriff in Florida says he'll share anything his new investigation reveals with authorities in Oklahoma.
Well, so when you look at this and you see how violent and how dangerous he is, it makes you wonder to what extent and what depth of investigation was done, because they released him from that murder charge that was lodged apparently within a month or so, because they were shipping him to his mother that quick. Now, did they wrap it up in that short period of time, or did they just say, hey, take him home, and notified the family later that we're not going to charge him? I don't know. But it's important to be accountable and responsible for your own actions. My question is, was there anything else that could have been done? Because had Oklahoma been able to act, Catherine would be alive and well today. But because she took him and tried to do like a mother should do and take care of him, she's now dead. Everybody that's special, should be special to him in his life, is dead when they crossed him.
And this sheriff is a lot.
Hello, everybody. Guess what? This is our new and improved Sheriff on the Shelf. Out just in time for Christmas or your birthday or, heck, Halloween. Bring him to Thanksgiving. Wait a minute.
Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
That's right. Did you hear what I said?
Come on, girl. Hello, everyone. This is Sheriff Grady Judd.
What do you think about that? The dude talks to you this year.
But that last line really hit me, the part about people who should be special to him. On May 5th, 2024, Catherine posted to her Instagram account, "Happy early graduation present. Congratulations, Collin, on your brand new 2024 VW Jetta. I love you and am so proud of you." It sounds to me like she was really trying to make it work between them. When Catherine and her husband separated after 20 years of marriage, Collin really didn't have much contact with his mom for a while. He didn't come to visit, and he rarely called. Catherine said Charles was abusive and was keeping Collin from her. One time when Collin did call his mom, He said he had told his dad he was gay, and his dad punished him for it by locking him inside, not even letting him go to school. Catherine said Collin was isolated in Oklahoma and had PTSD from the experience. She said Collin had been held captive by his dad for over 1,000 days. So I think she was trying to make up for it when Collin came to live with her in Florida, buying him his car and taking him on cruises and bringing him to Disney World. Catherine's former attorney said they became friends in 2023 when he represented her in Collin's battery case. He said her unconditional love for Collin blinded her a bit, but he doesn't think she could have known what he was capable of.
He was very well spoken, very smart, but you can pick up, that he was kind of controlling and manipulative. But you can't pick up that he's basically a murdering psychopath.
Collin had been seeing a therapist, but said he would kill the person if they diagnosed him with anything. Still, they did diagnose him with PTSD and an unnamed personality disorder. People online are blaming Catherine for raising a monster, like she should have been able to keep him in line. They say things like, treating a killer like a good little boy, what a huge mistake to bail him out. And her son beat her last year in September and was arrested for it. And despite all that, she let him live with her and took him on vacations and bought him a car as a prize. But from what I can see, everyone on all sides of this family was struggling. Catherine posted a TikTok video around the time that Collin assaulted her that said, "I did the best I could and it wasn't enough. I spent months trying to keep you safe and you literally just threw it all away." She also posted, "We broke the pattern, but the pattern still broke us all into pieces. I still don't regret leaving. I regret not leaving sooner." Catherine said her ex-husband had been abusive throughout their marriage and that she suffered from PTSD because of him. He said Catherine only called Collin when she was manic and that she suffered from addiction. He said she once threatened to take her own life in a text she sent to Collin, and that's why he cut off communication. They seemed to be battling over custody of Collin before they both died, so they were each incentivized to say these things about each other, of course. They say no one is born a psychopath, but if Collin had some traits that would make him more at risk, none of these environmental factors would have helped him. And all I know of Catherine is what I've seen online, but man, it looks to me like she was trying. Catherine was a teacher for the Florida Virtual School, and one of her students' parents said she loved her kids so much and was so proud of them. A man who says he dated Catherine on and off made a YouTube video where he says she asked him to help build a computer for Collin to help him get a programming degree in college. He said Catherine kept her married name after the divorce because she had a lot of professional certifications and didn't want to bother with changing the name on them. He says Collin was taught to shoot by his dad in order to defend himself. And he said that Catherine trying to fix Collin was like trying to catch a falling knife. Obviously take this with a grain of salt, but I thought it was an interesting peek into Catherine's life. Because her death is just so sad. Right before she died, she texted a neighbor to please not let Collin nor the police into her home. She said, "Please don't try to come in because they will try to follow you in if you unlock my door. Collin just hates me, and honestly, I'm tired of this crap." And the thing that really gets me is that she told this neighbor, "I'm safe and fine." It's like she didn't even know exactly how unsafe she was. Maybe she thought all of the nice things she had bought for Collin would buy her a little goodwill. What's so ridiculous to me is that Collin had a no violent contact order against his mom, which basically allowed him to keep living with her if he didn't commit any violence against her. And it's not funny, but it's almost laughable how silly that is. Like, isn't that the implied social contract in all mother-son relationships? Do you really need an order in place to know not to harm your mom? And if you're the kind of person who needs that order, is there any way you're going to honor it? Collin Griffith has been charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping for confining his mom with the intent to inflict bodily harm. It looks to me like his next court appearance will be on October 8th, 2024. He's being held without bond. As always, please let me know what you think about this case in the comments. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm just a true crime fan like you are, and I really appreciate you taking a chance on me. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you liked spending this time together. I would be so appreciative. Until next time, I'm Katie, and this has been Katie Does Crime.